Hello, this is Beverly with Oasis Wealth Design. If you have any little people in your life, whether it's children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews, that you would like to set up their future, then you are listening to the right workshop. Today we're going to talk about strategic education funding. There are multiple ways to fund education, and we don't want you to be fooled. So take a quick look at our whiteboard video to explain who Oasis Wealth is and why we are here, and then we'll come back and we'll dive through the material. If you'd like a copy of the workbook that accompanies this workshop, please click the link below and submit the survey, and an email copy will be sent to your inbox. Thank you, and we'll be back very shortly.
Who is Oasis Wealth? We are a family business that has been serving Guelph and the surrounding area for over 30 years. This is Tony, owner and founder, and this is me, Beverly. We are a no fee-for-service office offering full wealth designs. Together, we focus on your wealth, not just your financial status. You see, financial planning focuses on your net worth, the bottom line. We focus on wealth designs, which capture your entire state of well-being. Let's address the elephant in the room. What's our business model? We are life insurance brokers and referral sources for many different products and solutions, including insurance, investment management, everything from RSPs to TFSAs, as well as banking solutions, debt solutions, and group benefit strategies. We believe that products, however, are never the solution. Let me put it this way. Most of us, somewhere in our home, have a drawer full of miscellaneous items that at one point were useful and valuable to our lives. However, over time, they have started to collect dust in what we often refer to as our junk drawer. Most new clients we see have a financial junk drawer, a filing cabinet, or perhaps just a box of all well-meaning products that at some point were very useful and valuable. However, over time, the way we make decisions and the way we organize often lead to confusion and inefficient use of your hard-earned dollars. Consider playing a game, such as chess or Monopoly. How would the game go if you had no game board? Or what about no rule book? How would you know who is winning or losing? The same can be said for our finances. We often have a lot of great pieces, but no game board or rule book. And this is why we use a game board to design your well-being. Using this game board, you can see every financial decision you have made and will make on one page, clear and simple. The model consists of 5 sections: cash flow, debt, protection, savings, and growth. Every financial product you own fits on this one-page model. This allows every financial decision you make to be organized, coordinated, and integrated. Here is another pitfall. Even with the best organization, when's the last time you had all of your sources of advice in the same room at the same time? Never. See us in the middle? That's your personal CFO. We come alongside your family, and with the game board, we work together to always find the best design given the resources at hand. But you won't pay us a hefty salary to do it. At Oasis Wealth, we don't just settle for needs and good enough. We believe in your maximum potential. We always seek to maximize your protection, maximize your opportunity for growth using multipliers, and ultimately maximize your guaranteed retirement income. Why? Because when it comes to your finances, failure is not an option. So upgrade your advice today with Oasis Wealth, where your state of well-being is our top priority.
And we're back. All right, so thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to go through all the different aspects of education funding and what we can do, some pros and some cons, some options that you may not have thought of. And let's get started, okay? So let's get this, let me shrink myself here and let's get the information up. Obviously, disclosure, everything we're talking about today is not necessarily individually pertained to you, so ensure that you are aware of that and come on in for personal information, okay? Let's talk about the broad scope here. Why do we save for our children's education? There's a few reasons that I want to highlight. Where can I go here? There we go. We have a sense of pride in being able to provide for our children. We know that education is expensive and we want them to get ahead. We don't want to be caught with the surprise of an education expense later. And we don't want them necessarily to have student loans, whether you had some or you knew someone who did and they just seemed to like ruin their lives for a couple of years. That could be another reason. And we want them to be able to pursue their dreams. We live, as much as we live in Canada, we still have this idea of this American dream that everybody should be given the chance to pursue their love and their passion. And it's another reason why we want our little people to have that option. Let's start off a little bit more hierarchy, okay? There are two theories of saving money for any goal, not just education, or for retirement, for vacation, for anything, okay? There's product-based and then there's strategy-based. Product-based is all about, I have a need, what product fits that need, and then what can I do with that product? It's really just a calculated move. There's no real breadth and knowledge behind it. We have to consider a lot of these things when it comes to specifically just a product-based strategy, okay? What if the market underperforms? What if my child does not go to college or university? What if we don't qualify for a loan? What if I become disabled? How much will education cost in the future? These are all the type of questions we need to ask before we jump on the product bandwagon. Okay, and I'm going to call it that because it really is a bandwagon. That, oh, do you have one? Oh, well, I have a child. Did you have one? Oh, well, where's yours at? How much are you putting? It's a product bandwagon that sometimes we just jump on. So we need to ask ourselves some key questions before we jump onto any kind of product. Okay. Here are some quick facts. Did you know that 57% of Canadians aged 25 to 65 have completed a college or university degree? And this is the highest among the developed countries. Now, Canada is a country that prides itself on hard work and on getting ahead in many regards. And that is a valuable aspiration and a valuable trait that we own. Economic growth and replacement needs are expected to create about 6.3 million jobs by 2026. Great news for our kiddos. 55% of these will require a university or college education. Note that 45 don't. Okay. Quick facts. The cost of education in university education continues to increase. In 2018 to 2019, undergraduate tuition increased by 3.3% over the previous year. In addition, compulsory fees increased by 4.2% in the same period. Those are all those other books, those administrative fees, all those type of things. These continue to increase and outpace inflation. Now, how beneficial are these said degrees that we're putting so much money into? Now, you might have a personal story or you know someone who does, but let's review some of the stats, the statistics about it. Did you know that men in a skills trade earn 7% more than men with a college diploma and only 11% less than men with a bachelor's degree? So this is your plumbers, your electricians, your skilled trades. Women with a bachelor's degree, on the other hand, earn up to 80% more than women with college diplomas, high schools, or trades education. So it seems to be that the higher education for women seems to pay off more in the income realm. Now, let's take a look at this. Are young bachelor's degree holders finding jobs that match their studies? This is key. If we're going to spend all this money on education, and again, you might have a story, you might be a story, are people actually working in the degrees that they spent all this time and energy into? So this is the overqualification rate among women aged 25 to 35 with a bachelor's degree is their highest level of education by selected fields. So what this means is that 30% of women with a degree in their field of study, so nursing, teaching, computers, sciences, humanities, are underemployed, meaning that someone else could fill that job with just a high school diploma. You notice the bottom ones. A lot of the social services, the arts, the humanities, especially generals, obviously, but even business administration. the actual degree is not valued nearly as highly as certifications, as licensings, as in-job training. 30% of women are in a field are underemployed. They're working higher than they are working in a position where only a high school diploma would be required. For men, it's 35%. You may know somebody, you may sit next to somebody at work that's like this, that has a PhD, but maybe is working customer service, right? Not a bad thing, honorable career, don't get me wrong, but they spend a lot of money on their degree and not working in that field. Facing all the facts, Canadians value a college or university education. Get it. It's costly. Your children can be economically successful without a college or university degree though, okay? Many people with college and university degrees are working in jobs that do not require more than a high school diploma. So we need to be strategic about how we plan for our children's education. We don't just want to take the rule of thumb if these are the cases. See, here are the problems with the traditional approaches though. There are a few different things. First off, resources are finite. There's only so much income to go around. Now, if you've got more income coming out of your ears, then we still need to talk. However, for most families, resources are far and few between. There's only so much to go around. There's also this idea of opportunity cost as to what did we lose out on by putting money into an account that we really don't have any other options but education for. And then the principles of the exponential curve, because this affects both our ESP and the TFSA. So let's talk about it. So let's say, again, parent is 30 years old, plans to retire at 65. You put $2,500 a year of your money for 20 years with a 5% or $500,000 grant to the max of $7,200 with a 4% rate of return. You could be worth over $86,000. That's great. But what did you give up for your future? If you had just contributed for 20 years and left the account alone, not having to pull it out at year 20, you could have had $134,000 for your own retirement. So in your mind, you're saying, okay, I'm putting $2,500 a year away for 20 years, that's $50,000. Okay, but it's really costing you over $130,000 of retirement money. Or we have to equate that down to $9,000 a year of income. So there's an opportunity cost. There's only so many resources. So if we're going to throw our money into an account for a child, we need to understand that that's money that we cannot take for ourselves later. Okay. This is also this idea of the exponential curve. Okay, so let me show you a little bit of what this looks like. Okay, so on my calculator here we'll go 30 to 65 as we were just talking about. If we've got this idea that in the first 10 years, okay, so the balance between your 11 and your 12, 11, 12 has gone from 35 to 39, so it's making about $4,000 that year. We're putting in 25. Here's what happens though, okay? The first 10 years of your investment, and any investment, you're really just, the money's not making a ton of money on itself. It doesn't have this idea of compounding yet. The next 10 years, your 10 and your 20, it's starting to move, starting to get going. You're starting to see your account balances, your growth is almost equaling your amount that you put in. Then your 20 to your 30 to your 35 to 40 though, you're putting in money, but your money, because of this idea of compounding, which is a great wonder of the world that everyone wants to take advantage of, all of a sudden your money's making more money than you can even put in. And yet, where do we take out the entire lump sum for education? Right before it takes off. It's like you're getting this rocket ready to go. It's sizzling, it's ready to blast off into space, and someone douses it right as it's about to go. Okay, and this affects both an RESP and a tax-free savings account. It's this idea that if we use a product-based, okay, product-based strategy alone, then what we're doing is we're looking at a finite amount of time and saying, I only have 20 years to save for them, and then I'm going to pull all that money out. No, it can be one of the most inefficient things you do for your entire wealth building. Okay, exponential curve. You only get one. Okay? Key thing. So if we're going to use an RESP or TFSA, first off TFSA, okay? But how can we, knowing these rules and knowing the way that money works, how can we kind of maximize them? So one, you could defer the withdrawal. So if we use a TFSA, so let's say we put money into a TFSA for 20 years, okay? And then at year 20, we start putting money in, but instead of pulling it out for school, what if we have the student get loans or a line of credit? It builds their credit for their own future and allows your savings to grow for a longer period of time. So let me show you what that looks like, okay? So if we did from age, let's go here. And we did annual payments for 20 years. So we put $2,500 away. And no grant because we're assuming a TFSA. We put away for 20 years, okay? And then after 20 years, we said, that's it. Kiddo, I'm not paying for you anymore. We put money aside, okay? So what's going to happen is if we don't have to take it out, so let's look at our account balances. At year 20, so this is year 20 right here, you've stopped putting money in. And if at year 20, we've got $74,000, okay, in the account, but we tell the student, you know what, let's fund your education with student lines of credit or loans, which have minimal or no payments necessary. So let's say student number one decides to go in for a 4-year program. So that means you may not have to start taking any money out of this account until year 5. It's possible based on the timing. So let's see if we can keep it in for another 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's gone up to $94,000 from 77. And you didn't put a penny more in. That is an extra, well, what is that? That's $17,000. What could you do with an extra $17,000, right? Then when the student is done, they're done school, there's no reason why at that point we don't pull the money out and pay off the loans. Or maybe you just make the payments on the loans out of this account. But if we have a tax-free savings account, we have some options within there. That's key, okay? Other strategy here, pay the student loans. So instead of taking lump sums, so we just kind of hinted at that, get them to take out loans or lines of credit that are due after graduating. Interest is also tax deductible to the student. Key to note, if we're going to use someone else's money in a lending fashion, tax deductibility is a wonderful thing. Why not have it, okay? And there's nothing that says that the student can't take out the loan, but mom and dad can't pay it back. Some people have this fallacy that I don't want my kid to have a loan. Fine, you have the loan, but put it in your kid's name so that the kid builds up some credit. Your investments get some more time to hit the rubber on the road. And then by the time the payments are actually due, you have the cash to do it. Right? Third option, interest-only withdrawals. So if you save it into a TFSA, and you use the growth plus the freed up cash flow to pay for your education, you're essentially the lump sum of your savings stays intact for your retirement. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay. Here are 2 other options that you may not have thought about: cash value permanent life insurance and equity in your home. The main reason why people like RESPs and TFSAs is that they're tax-free growth, right? We don't like to pay taxes on it as we grow it. Ideally, we don't pay taxes when we take it out. These are 2 other areas where you can use another resource that is tax-deferred growth and typically tax-free withdrawals, but some other bells and whistles that you may not be aware of. So, cash value of permanent life insurance. So it's a life insurance policy that has cash building up in it. It is creditor protection. So we're going to go through these ins and outs. But what that means is that if you as mom or dad get into some financial trouble, in the 20 years it's going to take you to save for this kid, okay? Either you bankrupt, either something happens with bankruptcy, or you get sued because you get into a car accident or someone slips and falls at your house. No one can access the cash value in your permanent life insurance. They can take away your RESPs and your TFSA. There's also no management fees. That's also something to note on an RESP or TFSA. If you're going to invest, there's going to be management fees. You can take them on as tax-free loans. And essentially, they also self-complete for death or disability. In an RESP or a TFSA, if you as mom or dad, who are the ones making the money to contribute the money, if you get disabled, is the bank or the investment company going to continue to fund your RESP? Nope, nor your TFSA. What if you die? and all of a sudden your economic life stops. There's no one making money anymore. Who's going to fund your kids' education? Okay. Equity in your home. It is a matter of you will pay some interest. You're right. Is it better to pay interest or to pay taxes? And again, the strategy of deferring the withdrawal, and we're going to show you how that works. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into the cash value of life insurance. Essentially, it uses permanent insurance where the cash grows tax deferred, same as an RESP. You use the cash in the policy for any purpose. You can use it for the down payment on a house. You can use it for education. You decide. Cash in the insurance policy is safe from bankruptcy and lawsuits. It's protected if you become disabled. It self-completes if you die, because if you die, the family gets the death benefit. There's cash and a death benefit. The family gets the death benefit, which then in turn self-completes it and pays for the school. There's no annual or lifetime maximum, so there's no maximums unlike the other accounts. It can depend on your child's insurability or your insurability. You can put these policies either on your kids or on yourself. Tax-free growth, tax-free death benefit, tax-free cash value loans available. There are guaranteed cash and managed portfolios within the policy. So this is something to also note. In an RESP and a TFSA, you're not guaranteed your rate of return unless you put it into a GIC. You're going to have better luck in a lot of times in comparison in a cash value life insurance policy where we have all these other bells and whistles, and we have guarantees that the account value cannot go down 1 year to the next. Okay. They'll continue to be funded even if the parent becomes disabled or dies. You can use it for any purpose. There's a backup plan to use the cash values to pay premiums. This is another thing. In your RESP, if you've been gone to the bank and they've given you a calculation and say, if you put this amount in at this rate of return, you're going to have this amount for education. What happens if you lose your job and you can't pay into that plan for a few months? There's not really a backup plan. In the whole life insurance, what we can do is we can use the cash within there that will automatically pay the premiums for however long the cash is there as a backup plan to make sure that it still self-completes. There's no government rules or mandates to use it for any particular person or purpose, and you can use the cash values for school and still have the death benefit as a gift to your children for their future family. Equity in your home, how does that work? You can use a home equity loan to finance your children's education, or use growth on a TFSA with freed up cash flow to pay back this loan. So let's essentially allows you to keep your savings that you would have pulled out for this education right when it was about to take off like the rocket, and instead use the equity in your home, just another asset over here, moving around the furniture, that's all we're doing. Use asset number 2 and take a home equity loan, because at that point, what will your mortgage be, right? Here's an example. If you borrowed $50,000 from your home equity line of credit for your education at 3% interest rate and payments of $54.60 a year, you can pay it off in 11 to 12 years. But your savings are intact for retirement, not having to restart saving for your retirement at that point. So what this assumes is that if you've been saving up $2,500 a year, then when we get to that 30-year point, or 20-year point, we take that $2,500 we were paying, and instead we just pay it back to pay off the loan, plus any interest that you're making on that tax-free savings account. Pull that out every year and pay back the loan, right? Essentially what we don't want is we don't want you to start saving for retirement after education. Okay, this idea of exponential curve. If we're thinking about life in 2 exponential curves, where we're saving for education, then we're pulling it out, then we're saving for retirement, then we're pulling it out, we are missing out on almost double the potential, the maximum potential, because we are using product-based thought, okay? If you had to start that retirement savings from scratch after their education, and you're 30, they go to school at 50, now you're retiring at 65, you only have 15 years to save. That's it. $2,500 a year for 15 years at 4% is $50,000. $24,000 less than if you had just left the TFSA alone. It never grew another penny. It just sat there, and you took the growth off of it and paid for school that way. It's this exponential curve theory. You need to talk about it. Here's a summary, okay? Let's compare what everything does. An RESP is the only one that has a grant. I will give it that. Thank you, government, for free money. Tax-free withdrawals. RESP, possibly. Yes. Yes as loans, yes. Disability protected, which one of these is going to self-complete and going to essentially fund your kids' education if you get disabled? Only one. Which one will self-complete if you die? Because there's a death benefit, only one. Which one allows for flexibility? You can use the funds in there for any purpose. Everything but one. Now, which one is protected from the markets? That does not have the vulnerability of the year you need to spend that money, it goes down by 3%. Life insurance is the only thing that has that protection on it. Even the value of your house could go down in a year. We don't know. And which aspects have no management fees? The life insurance and the home equity. Now, the home equity does not necessarily have management fees. There will be interest to pay on it, and there are fees as far as usually account fees and that kind of thing. So there are some fees associated with that. So what I want you to get out of this is that see the big picture. There are multiple places to pull from for education. Don't just rely on one. If I look at my model here, so this is how I see the world. I see a model, okay? I can pull money. We can pull money out of GICs, out of money market funds, out of tax-free savings accounts, out of bonds, out of real estate, out of life insurance. Why are you handcuffing yourself to one option for $7,200, okay? Again, RESPs can be an integral part, but don't just assume that they're the best use for your money. Because if they're not and you find out too late, sorry, there's not much you can do because it's government mandated, okay? So my last question to you is, do you have a product or strategy? We want strategies in our world. We want to be able to wake up in the morning and know that whatever way life wants to go, we're going to be okay. That we're not reliant on the market. We're not reliant on certain tax rates. We're not reliant on the kids going to school. All of these different things, we have a strategy that encompasses our whole well-being, not just a one product pony. Okay? Here at Oasis Wealth, that is what we are good at. We see the big picture. We make sure that you don't miss out on some big opportunities and on some strategies that you just don't know. And why don't you know? Because they don't want you to know them. Okay? So give us a call. Our contact information will be on the screen in a few minutes. We're always open and available, even just for a quick cup of coffee, to answer any questions that you may have. Have a wonderful day, and stay tuned for our next video.